told me I don't owe you shit.
Yeah.
Okay, so the one where I think it was called The Last Frontier or The Unknown Country or whatever, where that guy hijacks their ship because he wants to go meet God.
Right.
And then they all get to that planet, and I think it was Kirk that asked, "What use does God have for a starship?" And that's where it all fell to shit.
Am I a Trekkie? Are there any communists that aren't Trekkies? I mean, they live in communist utopia.
I guess. Yeah. And the people that bitch about Star Trek being politically aware, they're fucking clueless. I mean, from the fucking pilot episode on television, it was a political.
Yeah, I'm not that familiar with the original series. I've never really watched all that, but I've watched every episode of Voyager, every episode of The Next Generation, all the Next Generation movies, all the original movies, but not the show.
Yeah, see, I never got into the spin-offs, and I tried to get into
Voyager is great. I didn't really like Deep Space Nine as much because they don't go anywhere. It's just, you know what I mean? It just takes place on a space station.
Oh, wow, that seems boring.
Yeah, I mean, people come to it, but, you know, they don't do an exploration or anything, and that's the thing I like about Star Trek. But Voyager was fantastic. I've watched that every episode twice. It used to be on Netflix. I don't think it is anymore.
I tried to get into the Picard series that came out a couple of years ago. I think it's on season 2 now. Season 1 was terrible. It was hot garbage. I hated it.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of liked it. I watched it. I think they did 3 seasons. I don't remember, but it's all done now.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, I liked Enterprise, too. I've watched that twice. One with Scott Bakula.
Yeah,
it's like a prequel.
Yeah, I'm aware. I haven't watched it, though.
I like that one, too.
What was the one that it was done by Seth MacFarlane? It's kind of a spoof, but it's really good.
Yeah, I can't remember what it's called, but I watched the first 2 seasons of that, and then I canceled Hulu and haven't watched it since.
I liked it. It was
good.
Yeah. I like your outline, and when I saw that coming for the podcast, Dave. By the way, this is the podcast, you fuckers. I saw that come in my email last night. I'm like, holy shit! Does he have time on his hands or what?
I was angrier than usual this week. So I put some extra. I mean, some of these are just tiny topics we'll just touch on, but
yeah,
there's stuff I want to complain about. So that's what we're here to do.
Let's start with what you started with, which is the National Guard and New York City subway. So before you get into whatever you want to say about that, I just saw a news clip of some women, Union Station or one of the subway stations, got pushed onto the tracks by her husband and lost both her legs. And she's in the hot. And you're telling me that these jackbooted thugs, these fucking bootlickers with the guns down there, couldn't have stopped this? Well, what the fuck are they doing?
Yeah, I don't know, but there was also video I saw this morning of protesters riding the subway returning from a pro-Palestine protest getting beaten by NYPD on the subway.
No shit.
Yep.
You saw where they're going onto the subway and they're removing the advertisements that are on the train and putting the Palestinian stuff on there. That was good stuff. And it was just
here's what I have to say about it. First of all, it's fascist bullshit. Yeah. And it's Democrats doing it. And now there's 3 high-profile examples of Democrats doing Republican fascist shit. You got Cop City in Atlanta. You got that crime bill in D.C. We've already talked about both of those things. And now you got this. And the worst part is Kathy Hochul, governor of New York, she literally, when she was defending it on TV, said, I'm not here to talk about facts. When the reporter brought up that crime is actually down, I'm not here to talk about facts. I'm here to talk about emotions and feelings. I was like, you've got to be fucking kidding me.
That's insane.
So what do you do when Democrats are doing Republican shit? I mean, we're already not voting for Republicans, but I don't want to vote for Democrats anymore either. So who do you vote for?
There are other parties.
I know, but they're not. There aren't other parties that are available nationwide on every ballot in every state. There just isn't.
That's a fact.
And I don't know. I mean, I've seen other parties on ballots in places I've lived before, but since I've lived in Pennsylvania, I haven't. I've never seen anything but Democrat and Republican. But I've seen communist on my ballot in New York before. When I used to live in New York, you'd see communist, Green Party, you'd see all that stuff.
Well, it was announced yesterday, day before, that Claudia Dela Cruz and Karina, They won the California primary for their party, beating out Cornel West. Now, Cornel West is a stand-up guy. I don't have a problem with Cornel West. He's too fucking old. He's too fucking old. So I'm glad they won that primary.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's disheartening though when all you see is people that are trying to protect capitalism, because that's what fascism does. That's what you get when you get late stage capitalism. If people start pushing against it, that's when you turn to fascism to protect it. And seeing the Democrats do it is very disheartening.
Well, it's disheartening because you want to believe that they are an option on some level within their party to begin to turn the tables on this stuff. I've given up on that belief. Now, on the you make a point in your outline about fascism is how capitalists protect capital from socialists. I want to use that to point out some shit that Joe Biden said in the State of the Union speech, which is pure capitalist fucking propaganda, where he made I guess he proposed some sort of a first-time home buyer, and that's always the thing. It's a first-time home buyer tax credit thing. And he made the statement. He says, as inflation continues to come down, so will the mortgage rates. Fucking bullshit, because inflation has not come down. It is the rate of inflation that has come down. The price of nothing has come down as the rate of inflation has come down. It's a lie.
Also, mortgage rates are tied to interest rates, not to inflation. They don't really have anything to do with each other.
And mortgage rates are up 100%.
Yeah, and I don't think. Well, I mean, you and I have been around a while, so
shut the fuck up. Why would you say something like that?
Because young people don't probably know. We've had the Federal Reserve interest rates been near zero for like 15 years, and that's not normal.
Yeah.
And they've just raised it. That's why everyone's seen interest rates going up. I mean, when I was a kid, you could get a savings account with like a 3 or 4% interest rate on it because the interest rates were that high. My parents tell me the mortgage they had on the house I grew up in was 12%. And because interest rates were that high.
Holy shit.
But since 2008, they went down to zero, and they've been there since until, about a year ago. So that's why interest rates are up. But they're still, I mean, I've seen them higher than this in my lifetime, but not since I've been an adult where it affects me directly. But, yeah, I mean, I don't know if the Fed's going to reduce. I guess his thought process is that if the economy slows, then the interest rates will come back down. The Fed will reduce the interest rates, but they will probably, but I don't know. And it's not going to make housing any cheaper. It's not going to make your, the amount of money you need to get approved for in your mortgage any cheaper. And wages are still not keeping up with inflation.
Not even close.
So, I mean, I remember it was a Reddit thread or it was on Twitter, but I saw somebody post that they got denied a loan. They were trying to get a $200,000 loan on a $400,000 house. They were putting $200,000 down. And they got denied. It's like, holy shit.
Well, they were going to put $200,000 down as the down payment, right?
Yeah,
and then they would have mortgaged the other $200,000.
Mortgaged the other $200,000, but the bank turned them down. That's insane. I mean, all the money the bank is putting up is already in the house, so there's really no risk.
Yeah, true. Unless the banks know that there's a crash coming and the value of that house is going to go tits up.
Yeah. Well, you know what? On that topic, this isn't in the outline, but I do follow some stuff, some websites where they track what politicians are doing with their stocks. And last week, every single insider trading politician, Nancy Pelosi and everybody, they all started selling last week. And people are speculating, do they know something? I don't know if they do, but.
Well, okay. So that could be a useful, and first of all, hang on a second. In the live, can y'all hear Matt? Give me a thumbs up if you can hear Matt when he talks. I assume you can, because if you can hear me, you can hear Matt. And if you're not hearing me, then fuck everything. So there's a level of usefulness in being able to know and note what you just said, what you observed. Okay. Um, the ideal situation, and some senator made a comment about this in the past week, 10 days, that if you make it illegal for senators and representatives to own stocks, buy and sell stocks, they won't want to be senators. Well, tough fucking shit.
Yeah, who cares? Great.
But okay, so there was somebody on TikTok I just started following him in the past week, Pissed Magistus or something like that. Really smart guy, and he's talking about how do we protest, and he talked about if you know there's a boycott coming up, you could short the stock of Kellogg's and their subsidiaries and things like that. I mean, having the information about what senators are doing in buying and selling stocks, which is public information, right? Nobody had to hack anything to get that.
No, they're required to report what their trades, but they don't have to. Here's the thing, though. They don't have to report them when they do them. They have to report them within 2 months or something like that.
Oh, so it's not like up to the minute shit.
Not necessarily, but sometimes it is. Sometimes they report it right away, but they don't have to.
Oh, well, okay. So what do we want to have changed? Do we want it to do we want legislation that says it has to be up to the minute? The minute you make a stock trade, it needs to be published, or do we want senators to not be able to buy and sell stocks?
I'd rather they can't do it at all, because they have the power to influence it.
Mm-hmm. You're right. So that's the better option by far, without a question. Yeah. All right. I concede that to you. You can have that.
But, there is the other thought where you got Democrats doing fascist shit. Are they feeling the pressure? Is that why they're doing it? Or is there enough? Because you know what? TikTok algorithm is so good. On my For You page, I believe everybody's ready to overthrow the government.
Feels like it.
But that's probably not true, because I'm only seeing a small fraction of the people on TikTok.
Yeah, so, we live in our echo chambers, even if we think we don't, or we don't want to, but we're stuck in them.
Right.
And you're right. I think that there are enough people who are still bootlickers for either side that are anxious to go to the polls. And they're not anxious to go to the polls to cast a vote for a third party. They're anxious to go to the polls to vote for either Democrat or Republican.
Well, I am excited to go vote in the Democratic primary here in Pennsylvania at the end of April, so I can vote not committed like they've been doing in the other states. I'm going to do that.
Is that are you registered as not committed?
No, I'm a registered Democrat, because in Pennsylvania you have to be a party to vote in the primaries. Mm-hmm. So I've been both. Whoever I want to fuck over more is where I switch. But I'm currently registered as a Democrat, so I can only vote in the Democrat primary. But people have been writing in. People have been going to vote in the Democratic primary and then writing in not committed.
Yeah,
and I'm going to do that. 100,000 people did it in Michigan.
Yep.
That's what prompted the former First Lady, Michelle Obama, to say, I don't understand why people are doing that. Really? You really don't understand?
It's because I think in every single case, and this goes at every level of where they're elected to and where they sit in the echelons of power, is that they are buffered from everything that we're doing and saying. They are immune to it because they have their keepers that filter everything that they see and hear, and they are, when they see something like this where the level of uncommitteds are up in a certain primary, they don't understand it because they have not seen the rest of what the dynamic is out here. They're clueless.
All right, but they see the pro-Palestinian protests. They know that public opinion is not in favor of Israel in this conflict. They have to see that. I mean, it happens in Washington, D.C. and New York City and everywhere. They have to see that, and they don't care because Palestine doesn't have a lobbying group giving them money, and Israel does. But I've been thinking a lot about this. I am done, 100% done voting for anybody that puts the interests of a foreign country ahead of the people of the United States. And Joe Biden does that, so fuck him. He's never getting my vote.
I mean, any representative who is taking money from AIPAC and is betrothed to AIPAC is doing the same thing.
Right.
And I've looked it up before, the list of currently elected representatives who are not taking any money from AIPAC. The list is very small. It's super small, but they're the only ones that deserve to possibly hold their seat.
Well, that's a whole other thing. I would like to see lobbying go away altogether. I think that should be illegal.
Yeah, and I remember strong pushes for that in past election cycles where it was I don't know if it was a party platform or what it was, but there was a lot of noise about making lobbying illegal. And
get rid of lobbying. And I'm all for federally funded elections too. Let all the candidates have the exact same amount of money.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we're talking about things that are fundamental changes to the system that in some cases, I don't know how these, to some degree, the DNC and the RNC make their own rules, but they make their own rules under the guidelines of federal legislation, correct?
Yes.
So there's the Federal Election Committee, and they establish the rules by a bunch of people sitting behind closed doors. We have nothing to do with this.
But all the people on the Federal Election Commission, they're all Democrats and Republicans. All the people everywhere are just Democrats and Republicans. There's no significant presence of any other voice anywhere in our government.
I want to comment in the TikTok live. Monica the Corgi says, if you think the government cares about protests more than their airstrip, then you're naive.
Yeah, we know.
Yeah.
We know that.
I agree.
All right. Well, yeah, so the State of the Union. Biden said some other shit that pissed me off. He said some Republicans. First of all, he repeated that line, hey, I'm a capitalist. Okay, good for you. Fuck you. But then when, that ass pimple Marjorie Taylor Greene yelled out that name, Riley, Laken Riley or something like that. The girl that was murdered in Georgia by an undocumented immigrant, and screamed out, say her name. And Biden then did say her name and then said she was killed by an illegal, and then referred to thousands of other people being murdered by illegals, which just isn't true. It just isn't true. And here's a quote from a study from 2012 to 2022. Undocumented immigrants have a homicide conviction rate 14% below that of native-born Americans. Immigrants have a 62% lower homicide rate, and undocumented immigrants have a 41% total criminal conviction rate than native-born Americans. It's from the USA Today, based on a study that was done by a think tank. So it's simply not true that immigrants are killing more people, and Americans kill more people.
Yeah, it was that particular statement, I think, was Snopes in my Google News feed. Yeah, it was yesterday. It's not there today. But yeah, they said it was he said.
He stuttered.
Well, they said that it was not accurate. What he said was not accurate. So yeah, that's verifiable.
But that's a change, because Democrats have long referred to undocumented immigrants as undocumented immigrants, and he decided to use the word illegals. That had to be intentional.
You think it was? Because I think he was off script at that point.
Well,
but
I don't know. I think he's trying to get Republicans that don't like Trump to vote for him, because he knows that people a little bit left of him won't vote for him. So he wants to get Republicans that don't like Trump to vote for him, so he's starting to use some of their language. I really think that's what he was doing.
I wonder if any such person in that camp exists.
Yeah, that's what the Lincoln Project is. There's a whole bunch of them.
Wait a minute. How are you framing the Lincoln Project? As
the Lincoln Project is a bunch of Republicans that don't like Trump.
Okay. I'm trying to remember if I remember that or not, if I already knew that.
Yeah, that's what they are.
Huh.
And they definitely support Biden, but I think he's trying to reach a little bit further into the.
Yeah, because he has no other pool to reach into. He's not.
No, I mean, well, he's alienated those further left, so he has to reach to the further right, and that's what they do, and that's why our crap, I blanked. Overton window. That's why our Overton window keeps moving right.
Yeah, I saw a clip about that this morning too.
Another thing he said during his State of the Union speech was he said Hamas could end this by releasing the hostages, laying down arms, and handing over those responsible for October 7th. That's a quote from Biden during his State of the Union. Yeah, they fucking offered to do that months ago. Israel declined.
Yes,
what the fuck is he talking about?
He is that verbiage. Whoa, my fucking camera just blurred out totally. That verbiage came directly from his AIPAC handler.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Anyway, I don't know. A lot of people watched that State of the Union and were like, oh, yeah, I love Joe Biden. I watched it and I was like, fuck this guy. I was uncertain whether I was going to vote for him or not in November because I really don't want Trump to be president. And I was like, am I going to do the harm reduction thing and vote for Biden? After watching that State of the Union, I'm not. There's no way.
Yeah.
That's what I got out of it. I was so disappointed.
I didn't watch like any significant part of it. I've seen bits and pieces, and it seemed like there was a lot of going off the rails.
Yeah, I didn't watch any of it, but I read the transcript.
Yeah.
So, and the transcript's funny because it has all the comments, all the stuff that was shouted out at him.
Yeah, exactly. That's the stuff I saw.
And that's another thing because Democrats were shouting out stuff too, but that wasn't a thing, right? I don't ever remember that being a thing where the Congress would yell at the president while he's giving the State of the Union. I don't remember watching Clinton give speeches or Reagan or Bush or the other Bush. I don't remember them getting stuff yelled at them while they were giving the State of the Unions ever.
Wait a minute. Go back up because who was the guy? And it was, God, that wasn't in this. That wasn't against Biden, was it? Where the guys? No, it was Obama. It was one of Obama's State of the Union speech. The guy that stood up and
he said liar.
Liar. Yeah, that was.
That's the first time I remember that.
I think it's the first time it's ever happened.
And now it seems like it's just accepted.
Yeah,
it's okay to just do.
Yeah, because I think that wasn't he going to get censured for breaking decorum? Yeah. Decorum is a thing of the past.
It's gone. Now it's just a free for all. But you're right. He was off script because he directly addressed people when they were yelling at him. But
yeah, I
was disappointed. I'm gonna actually skip ahead to number 5 because I saw it was on TikTok on the Cenk Uygur official campaign account on TikTok, where he made a TikTok where he was trying to explain how he could get delegates. And the first thing he said was, it's likely Biden will drop out after the primaries. And he didn't explain it, didn't say what he meant by that or why he thinks that or anything. So what the hell is he talking about? He's a journalist, not an insider. So I don't know how he would know something that like that. What do you think he was thinking?
I don't know because I didn't see it. So I don't know the details that he expressed in that.
Well, he didn't. That's my point. He's just like, he said he's likely to drop out after the primaries. And then he said, and what happens when he drops out? His delegates go somewhere. And here's how I can get his delegates. And that was the rest of it.
Okay, so
he never explained what his thought process was for why he thinks Biden is going to drop out after the primaries.
But he had an idea of how he would get the delegates if that happened.
Yes.
Okay.
But I started thinking about it. I was like, is he just speculating or does he know something? And then I thought about it. Biden knows this Palestinian Israel thing is a loser for him on his base, right? So is he just doing that now and then he'll drop out and they'll put somebody else in that doesn't have that stink?
I've heard
and hope that we'll vote for him.
Well, that's it. Is I've heard so many stories and hypotheses about how the convention's going to go, and he's going to the one.
First of all, I just say, in my opinion, I don't see Biden dropping out after the primaries. That doesn't make sense to me. I'm just saying that's what Senk said, and I don't know where he got that from.
Yeah, I mean, but the other scenarios that I've seen laid out are 10 times more bizarre, because they talk about Biden drops out after the primary and hands it and passes it to Kamala, basically, and then so Kamala runs without a VP, which I think you can do that apparently, but then the House majority leader becomes interim VP after she gets elected, and so you'd have Kamala Harris president and Mike, what's his name, Johnson as interim VP. There's some protocol that says this could happen. The whole thing's horseshit, but because Biden's not going to drop out unless Biden drops dead, then that could play out.
Yeah, I mean, if he dies, yes, but I don't know. He seems pretty healthy, even though he is old as fuck. But
you'd have a centrist Democrat with a far right vice president.
Yeah, well, I saw somebody was speculating. This is all conspiracy theory bullshit. I don't necessarily believe it, but I saw somebody speculating that that's why they got rid of McCarthy, because the plan was apparently to have Biden resign and let Harris become the president and McCarthy become the vice president, and that's why the far right decided to get rid of McCarthy for some reason. I don't know. I saw somebody saying that.
It might have been somebody that I duetted, because it was talking about how the Freedom Caucus, as though the Freedom Caucus controls the whole of the House of Representatives.
Right. So yeah, it could have been something you duetted or reposted. I don't know.
Yeah, it was a failed plan to whatever. It was crazy.
All right, just some real quick about the upcoming election for the House and the Senate. George Santos has filed to run in a different district than he ran in before. I don't get it. He literally got kicked out. He's facing 23 felonies, all relating to fraud. What the fuck is he doing?
I haven't heard this. I heard that he was at the State of the Union, so I'm guessing this is fairly recent to that.
Yeah.
I haven't heard this.
Well, he was elected in New York 3, and now he's going to run in New York 1. The
problem is and now you're talking about state law and so forth regarding who can run, who can be on ballots and so forth. There's nothing that disqualifies anybody from being on a ballot for any fucking elected position, apparently.
No, but I don't know that he's electable. So I don't understand what he's doing.
Well, yeah, that's a separate issue. I mean, you don't think he's electable? I think he's electable.
I don't know. They hated him in New York 3 where they elected him. They came to hate him.
I got to see where New York District 1 is, because a friend of mine lives in 3 and she hates it there. New York District 1 is, oh shit, that's just it's right next to it. So it's the east end of Long Island, basically. Yeah, Eastern Long Island.
The party leaders in New York 3 wanted to remove him long before the Congress actually did remove him. They came to hate him.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So I don't see how he gets elected in just the next district over.
So
I don't know what he's doing. Unless he's just trying to raise money. That could be what he's doing.
Oh, of course. But the people who control the district, they don't have any say about who puts themselves on the ballot. Just literally any fucking idiot can say, "I'm on."
You need to get signatures. That's how you get on ballots.
You need
to go door to door and get signatures.
So is he on the ballot, or he's trying?
No, but he's announced his intention.
Okay, so he hasn't even gotten past that first hurdle of getting enough signatures to get on the ballot. That'll be the litmus test. Because if he does, then he's electable.
Well, I mean, yes, he's legally electable. I just don't know if the people would elect him. I don't feel like they would.
No, I'm not talking about legally. I'm just saying that if he can get people to sign that he should be on the fucking ballot, those people would vote for him.
Right. You need far fewer signatures to get on the ballot than you do to win. Far fewer.
Right.
You need like 1,000 or something. It's not very many.
Fuck. Kristen Sinema is not running. Good.
Yeah, she's not, but who cares? I don't think she was going to win anyway, and she's going to just go take a board seat in some corporation somewhere and live out her days in luxury.
That's why I said about Nikki Haley. Nikki Haley doesn't need the Republican Party. Nikki Haley is sitting on boards of, I think, Boeing and a couple other defense contractors. She's got fucking money up the ass. She's one of these fucking, we should be eating her. Like,
yes, well,
you know,
hopefully someday we will.
But this is where she had an opportunity to fucking turn the Republican Party into a wasteland if she ran third party, because she would pull enough votes away that the Republicans would implode upon themselves. But why the fuck not do it? You know?
I don't know. Power is addicting, I guess. I've never had any, so I wouldn't know.
She's got more power sitting on the boards of those defense agencies than she would have as, well, maybe not more, but
more than president. I don't think so.
Yeah. The TikTok bill. Let's talk about this because it's back, and it's
Well, the first thing I want to say is if you're on TikTok, you will see person after person misrepresenting what's happening. First of all, they all say it already passed. No, it didn't. It got out of committee. It's going to pass. And I mean, enough people have said they're going to vote for it, and Biden said he would sign it. So it's going to pass, but it hasn't passed. And the last one easily passed the House, but then died in the Senate. And this one could too. There are some senators who have been outspoken against it. It also isn't a TikTok ban. If it passes, TikTok will have 165 days. That's like 5 months.
Once it's enacted, which could be 6 months after it's signed into law. But anyway, go ahead.
They'll have 165 days to ByteDance, which is the Chinese company that owns TikTok, has 165 days to sell it to an American company so that an American company can run it and whatever. I don't know. That is the most fucked up thing I've ever heard. And I sincerely hope that China or any other foreign country tells, GM or Facebook or Google, hey, you have to sell yourselves to someone in our country in order to do business here. That would be amazing.
Yeah, that would be tit for tat, and it would be completely appropriate. There's nothing anybody can say.
Yeah. It is insane. It's like theft. They literally want to steal TikTok. First of all, I don't believe it's going to get banned. It's way too valuable. Advertisers love it. It's money making. It's well,
that's
great.
where. But hang on, because that's where I saw Kevin O'Leary. Kevin O'Leary from fucking Shark Tank. That fucking piece of shit.
Yes, I saw him say he would buy it.
He would buy it.
Yeah. I don't want him to buy it, but somebody will buy it, though. Absolutely somebody will. And ByteDance will absolutely sell it. Because why would they not? It's worth billions. If it gets banned from the United States, it's worth a fraction of what it could be worth otherwise. If that bill passes and they get forced to divest, they will. 100% they will. It's not getting banned. There's zero chance it's getting banned.
Well, and you'll see. Okay, let's say it plays out that way. The law gets signed, enacted. The clock starts ticking for the 160 days. And fuck, I lost my train of thought. But fuck, I can't remember what I was going to say, and it was good too. God damn it. I'll come back to it. It'll come back to me.
All right. Well, Kevin O'Leary's plan was to allow ByteDance to retain a 20% ownership so that they would be more agreeable to do it. And he would put together a group to buy the other 80%. But I don't know. The thing is, all the stuff that they're using to justify it, none of it. There's no evidence that any of the things have happened. There's no evidence that that ByteDance has sold any of our data to China. There's no evidence of it whatsoever.
True. And that reminds me, now I remember what I was going to say, is that the 160 days starts ticking by, and watch the stocks for potential buyers. Watch where the elected representatives are, start fucking buying and selling stock,
Oh,
because
that's a good point. It's a good point.
fuck.
Speaking of stocks, though, I do want to go back. I meant to bring this up earlier when you mentioned Kellogg's. If people do short the stock and the stock does crash, and I did see this on TikTok, but it's common sense. If Kellogg's has cash on hand, which I assume they do, they'll just do a stock buyback, drive the price back up.
Oh, of course. I mean, that's where the guy who I was talking about advocating for using that information to short a company is, you aren't going to get away with it for very long.
No,
it'll be.
And I don't understand why it's only a 3 months boycott. If you want to do harm, you have to boycott it forever.
I've never heard it defined as a 3-month boycott. In fact, any of the boycotts that I've seen, I think people have been very clear about, this is not a time limited endeavor. This is a boycott period. So
yeah, I don't know. The main person who was advocating the Kellogg's boycott was advocating for a 3-month boycott to begin on April 1st, go for 3 months. And then after that, we're supposed to boycott Nestle. And then for 3 months. And then we're supposed to boycott someone else for 3 months.
We can, why can't we do all these things simultaneously? Who's having trouble with this?
I mean, why not? Because then you can't buy anything. We'd have to boycott everybody. And you can't buy anything. I mean, it sucks, but it's true.
Well, even if, I mean, the bigger problem is that with any of these boycotts, with the exception of things like Starbucks and the things that are very niche, that are very narrowly defined.
Luxury things are easy to boycott, but staples are tough.
Yeah, well, that, and they're probably anything and everything that you buy is owned by 3 companies or 4 companies. It has gotten so entrenched that it's impossible to bring these fucking people to their knees without a natural disaster.
Yeah, right.
Meteor 2024. Oh, I was going to try to get into my crypto and see what my shit coins are doing, but they've been down since this morning. So
yeah, well, Bitcoin's hovering around 69,000. It didn't really do much. I mean, after it hit its all-time high of 70, it pulled back to 58 and then shot right back up to 69, and it's been trading sideways for a few days there. So it's going to go higher again. Well, the halving, by the way, a correction. And our last thing, I kept saying the halvening. It's halving. It's the halving.
Oh, I've never heard it as halving. I've heard halvening from multiple people.
Everywhere I see it says halving, but I was saying halvening. I must have seen halvening somewhere.
Halvening is more, I like it better. It's more ominous, more M. Night Shyamalan.
Yeah. Anyway, we're I think 39 days away from the having whatever.
Yeah, April can't get here fast enough.
So that'll be interesting.
Do we know specifically what date in April?
Yeah, pretty much. Just it's not a date though. It's based on how many blocks have been mined. But the rate of mining is pretty constant. So you just extrapolate out, like, they mine 900 blocks a day. We're,
right,
4,800 blocks away. So it's this many days. That's how they figure it. But it's not, I mean, it's not rocket. It's not like exact necessarily, but it's pretty good.
I just want to know if it's before April 15th when I have to file my taxes, in case I need to cash out my crypto to pay my taxes. I'll be pissed if I have to do that. I shouldn't have to do that.
I'll look it up. April 20th.
Oh, fuck. Okay.
The next Bitcoin halving is estimated to take place on April 20th.
But it's weeks and months after that, the potential process for other things skyrocketing because of that. I mean, it's not the day of that.
The moves we're seeing now are anticipation of that.
Yeah.
And that, but yeah, after that, things will go. It's like 18 months. You'll have like 18 months of bull market after the halving. So you'll have time to make your money back, even if you have to sell your ship.
Well, I need it to dip. If I sell it all, I need it to dip so that I can get it all back without losing too much.
Yeah.
But I've been buying on every dip. I didn't buy any today, but I'm going to watch after we get done with this and see if there's anything to do. Da, 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 da. I haven't seen. Oh, yeah. I did see the footage of the parking lot at the. Where was it? Atlanta? Where the cars got crushed by the landing gear that
San
fell off.
Francisco.
So what the fuck happened to the plane? Because the plane's in the air without landing gear. I haven't seen anything.
No, just one wheel fell off. They have six wheels on each thing, and just one fell off.
One wheel?
One wheel, yeah.
Boy, that one wheel caused a lot of fucking damage.
Yeah, they're fucking big, man. They're big and heavy. It was a 777. That's a big plane.
And I bet you I'm sure those people had insurance for the vehicles, but I bet you the insurance companies are going to wiggle out of that one. And say,
well, they'll get the money from the airline probably.
I would think so.
I don't. The investigation's not done. I don't know how that happens. I feel like it's probably a maintenance issue, like somebody didn't tighten a lug nut or something. I don't know. But the fact that Boeing continues to have these high-profile issues is problematic. That's a problem. Yeah. And I feel like that's late-stage capitalism for you. Boeing's been cutting costs lately, and now they have Alaska Airlines gets the door blown off. Well, which, by the way, is now a criminal investigation. I don't know exactly who's being investigated, but the FBI announced that that's a criminal investigation now.
Negligence, obviously. It's not some sabotage.
Right, but who is it? Is it against?
Well,
Boeing,
but okay, so
maintenance people or the airline? I don't know.
Right. I'm not speaking regarding Boeing, but last summer when I was Ubering, I picked up a bunch of times. I picked up guys who were mechanics for Allegiant Airlines because Allegiant flies out of Okaloosa County here. And these guys would all tell me the same stories, is that they don't have the equipment to fix the planes. They're not given time to do what they need to do to maintain these planes. These guys were all under and I think they tried to strike last summer, if I'm not wrong. But Allegiant, which is a relatively small airline, was struggling to keep their mechanics equipped to do their jobs. That it's probably endemic across all of the airlines that they're fucking people over for profit left and right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Criminal.
So, I don't know. I also read that the 737s, right? The 737 MAX, that's the one that Alaska Airlines was, the door blew off.
Mm-hmm.
There are people, because you don't usually know what plane you're going to be on. At least my experience, you don't. You buy your ticket, you don't know what plane you're going to be on until maybe the day before your flight, right? Because it could be an Airbus, could be a whatever. And people are showing up and finding out it's a 737 and refusing to go on the flight. I guess that's happening.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I would too. I've never been a fan of flying. This doesn't inspire me to want to fly any more than anything. Do you have anything else really important to talk about before? Because I want to wrap on number 8. I think number 8.
Yeah, well, that's why I put it there. That's our light news of the day.
Well, we've skipped around. So did we miss anything? I don't think we did.
No, I don't think so.
So did I send it to you, or did you see the guy explaining what the rules are? First of all, Mike Tyson.
Yeah, dude, that's not true.
No?
No.
Fuck. God, are you sure?
I'm positive. I've seen a couple people say it. There's no, none of that's true. First of all, none of the details have been worked out. None of them. Like, they don't know it's going to be in Dallas, but it hasn't been sanctioned yet. They haven't decided if it's a professional fight or an exhibition fight.
Oh, it's going to be exhibition. There's no way.
Like, all that stuff will get discussed. And like, it's possible there could be rules. They won't be that crazy.
Because it was like he gets to wear a helmet.
Right.
He can do tag team with his brother and tag his brother in. And there was something else that was absolutely fucking ridiculous. And I was like, I was so hoping that was fucking true. Damn it.
Dude, Mike Tyson is 58. And I don't know if you watched the Roy Jones Jr. fight.
He's older than me. That's all I care
about. I
about.
grew up watching Mike Tyson, right? Because people don't know this, but boxing wasn't always on pay-per-view. Mike Tyson used to fight on the USA Network. Basic cable, you could watch title fights when he was young. And Huh?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, in the 80s. And he was so good. It was crazy. It was crazy how good he was.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, hard puncher and super fast hands. And I mean, he knocked a bunch of guys out in the first round.
Oh yeah, for the longest time, nobody could get past the first round with him.
Yeah. And then Roy Jones Jr. was in a different weight class, but he was one of the best fighters ever in his weight class. Just a very technical fighter, really good. So when they fought each other, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago, I was super excited about it. That was the stupidest fucking fight I've ever seen. They both looked like old men that didn't really want to be there. So I don't know what we're going to get.
Well, wait, who was that? That was Roy Jones Jr. and who?
Mike Tyson.
I thought Roy Jones Jr. fought George Foreman, brought George Foreman out of retirement. That was equally sad. It was
that was a real fight, right? That was a real fight, I think.
Maybe. I don't know.
But there's a video circulating that people are showing of Mike Tyson training. And he looks sharp. He looks fast. He looks like he's punching hard. All that stuff. But it's from 4 years ago. It's from before the Roy Jones fight.
Oh, I didn't know that.
That's not current footage. Nobody knows what he looks like. And he walks around with a cane. Like, he's not like using it necessarily, but he carries one with him. Why would he do that if he doesn't have issue?
What was that?
I don't know. It sounds like a banshee outside.
I thought it was a cat. You don't have a cat.
Could be a cat. I don't know what the hell it is.
I want to
see what that is. We'll see what it is.
I want to put a postscript on this whole discussion about Mike Tyson. Let's not forget that he's a rapist.
True.
He's a piece of shit. He's not a good human being.
Jake Paul's a piece of shit too.
That's the dilemma. I guess that's a win because I don't care which. I want to see one of them put on their.
Hang on a second. This actually sounds bad. I got to go have a look.
Okay. I'm going to kill the live because nobody's in it right now. Come on, work.
I don't know what's happening. My neighbor's on the phone with 911.
Really?
And there's a car in the front yard.
Like on the grass?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
And there's definitely somebody hurt.
Whoa.
And the car is now driving away. Like, did somebody drive up on the sidewalk and hit somebody?
The car's driving away?
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know what happened, but there's other adults handling it, so I'll just leave it. I'll just leave it, but I don't know what happened. But I think somebody got hit by a car.
SHIB is down 7.6% today. It's in a dip, so I think I'm going to buy when I get off here.
But anyway, I don't know. I want to see a good fight. I like boxing more than UFC. So I want to see a good fight. I kind of want to see Mike Tyson knock out Jake Paul because Jake Paul is a cocky asshole that thinks he's a good boxer, but he hasn't actually fought any boxers. He only fights UFC guys. So, yeah.
Jake Paul has advanced. I mean, his first few of these stupid fights were chaotic and ridiculous. But he's gotten bigger. First of all, the dude's a fucking, I don't know what he's a fucking mountain. He's huge.
Well, yeah, I mean, right. That's probably why that made up rule thing was that he could take performance enhancing drugs.
That was the other part.
That's why that was part of it.
That was fucking hilarious.
Well, first of all, nobody will sanction the fight if the rules say that somebody's can be on performance enhancing drugs. So
the other condition was Tyson has to get down to 160 and Paul can be at
any weight he wants. Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, the only thing I've seen is that the fight's going to be at 165. which is strange because that's still Tyson having to slim down.
Well, what the fuck is Jake Paul's weight? He's got to come down for that too.
I don't know, but heavyweight, which Mike Tyson was his entire career, there's no weight. You just weigh what you weigh.
Well, no, you're above a certain weight.
Right.
I'm looking up how much Jake Paul weighs. Gotta be like close to 180. He's at 200 pounds. He's got to get down to 160 for this fight.
That's what I saw when I looked it up, but I don't know. I don't know. But it's gonna be on Netflix. I don't have Netflix anymore. Maybe I'll get it for that. That's in July.
Wait a second. Hold on. How tall is Jake Paul? He's 6'1" and 200 pounds. I'm 6'2" and 200 pounds. I could take this motherfucker.
I'm 5'8" and quite a bit over 200 pounds.
You and I can tag team him. We'll do a tag team.
I do know how to throw a punch, but I don't think I have as much power as Jake Paul.
Yeah, he's his fucking BMI is some fucking tiny number.
I mean, he kind of takes boxing seriously, but then he's also a wrestler. Like,
but I think the thing that he did by beginning to do these things, boxing was on its last leg. Boxing has been usurped by UFC, and rightfully so.
But all he does is exhibition matches. That's not boxing. Like, I don't know who the heavyweight champ is today.
Huh?
I don't know at all.
Yeah, I know.
And I used to always know.
Did he fight any UFC guys? He did, didn't he?
Yeah, a bunch of them.
Not Conor McGregor, right? Or did he?
Floyd Mayweather fought Conor McGregor, maybe?
Yeah. Okay. Because my point was that I think what Jake Paul was doing was further eroding the credibility of professional boxing. Professional boxing had gotten corrupt, and I mean, it's going to happen to UFC too. Dana White is a piece of shit, and UFC is going to become a corrupt organization just like professional boxing has been. But it's nice to have something new. I don't follow anybody in UFC, but I like watching a good UFC fight, and it's boxing has never been like that. It's the equivalent. People bitch about watching baseball. Out of any professional sport, baseball is the sport I prefer. But people who critique baseball say it's boring to watch. Boxing became boring to watch. UFC is almost never boring. And the women who fight in UFC, holy shit. These chicks are fucking just fucking terrifying. And
yeah, I don't know. I watch UFC sometimes, but I used to really be into boxing, particularly heavyweight. And I haven't in 20 years, probably. And you know when I got disillusioned with boxing? Lennox Lewis and Evander Holyfield fought for a heavyweight championship. It must have been 2000 or 2001. And I watched the entire fight. And in my opinion, it was clear that Lennox Lewis won. He didn't hit as hard as Evander Holyfield, but he landed way more punches. And when it goes to points, that's what matters.
Yeah.
And they called it a draw. And I thought it was the dumbest fucking decision ever. And I was like, this boxing is fake. At that point, I was like, boxing is fake. Because that was not a draw. And I don't think I've watched a heavyweight fight since then.
That's the thing, and that's become more evident in baseball too, is that the utility of the actual umpires, like in baseball, they've made themselves irrelevant. There have been so many bad umpires this past few seasons. They've made so many bad calls that it's ridiculous. It's a joke. And with all of the technology and I don't think maybe this would work in boxing, I'm not sure. But with all the technology we have viewing a baseball game, there's no need for umpires anymore. It's unnecessary.
I don't know. I like a variable strike zone. I just want it to be consistent during the game. I think it's fine if it's different from one game to the next. I think it's interesting. It makes it interesting.
Well, but under no circumstances do you want completely bad calls. I think
there should be more things should be reviewable in baseball.
Yes, I agree. I don't know.
That's what I think.
Yeah, I don't know what the limits or guidelines are on that currently, like instant replay or whatever. When can it be referred to? I think it simply has.
They review home runs. They review plays at first. They review plays at second. They review plays at home. I feel like there's things they don't review though. Well, they don't review balls and strikes.
That's the thing. Yeah, that's definitely the.
But yeah, they have the technology to have robots call the balls and strikes. But then, I don't know. I like the human element in the balls and strikes. I don't like it when it's 6 inches outside, and he calls it a strike for strike 3 in the bottom of the 9th with 2 outs. That's fucking bullshit. But I don't mind when it's close and it goes one way or the other. I think that's interesting. But they could probably program the robots to do that. Hell, they do it in my video game. I play MLB The Show, and there'll be a ball that's slightly outside, and the video game umpire calls it a strike. So that's an option in the game. You can have it be.
You can set the accuracy.
Yeah.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, and I don't mind when they do it. I mean, I mind because I get pissed about it, but that makes it more exciting.
Yeah.
Like, oh, fuck you. That was outside. As I'm going back to the dugout. My video game avatar is going back to the dugout. It's more fun.
That's the podcast. Ta-da. When the dog enters the frame, it's the end of the podcast.
Yeah.
Now go look up Lawnchair Youth on the YouTubes and cleanse your disgusting soul, heathens.
But